Hello, everybody. It's Dave Neal, stand-up comic, host of Bachelor Nation News. Here's our third and possibly final video of the day. It's barrel scraping season. Thirsty Thursday, couple days before New Year's. 2023 around the corner, and we'll have a new crop of hopefuls in Zach Shallcross's season that are going to be vying for love, more drama, this and that. But we go backwards a couple years. Can you believe it's been a couple years since Katie's season here? She was Bachelorette 2021, almost 2 years ago, and she's been sharing her stand-up journey. And last night she posted that she had a nice bomb. A bomb in stand-up means it didn't go as planned. You know, everyone's got a plan till you get punched in the face, as they say, and it's a time-honored tradition amongst comedians to bomb, to try to communicate to an audience of strangers most of the time, jokes, and them either liking them or not. We'll get into it. Follow me on Instagram at TNeals if you want to see some of my stand-up comedy clips, show dates, things like that. Also, patreon.com/Dave Neal. Today I just recorded it. It's out there on Patreon. I shared which former contestant is rumored to be being sued by the show for $500,000. Keep it on the Patreon because it's only a rumor. The sources didn't provide any credible information other than it's people within the know sharing that. And it's fascinating, to say the very least, but we discuss it on today's Patreon, patreon.com/Dave Neal. I know we're going to get a lot of traction because multiple people have joined the Patreon today just to get that information. Also, I shared something, I already recorded it on Bachelor Rush Hour, today's podcast. I shared a little bit more insight into Greg Grippo, Johnny, and Victoria, and the story that pretty much captivated the last half of 2022. So if you want to listen to more thoughts on that, which I haven't shared at all on the YouTube channel, go to Bachelor Rush Hour, wherever you listen to podcasts. And all right, let's jump right into it. So here's what she had to say, Katie, about her stand-up journey. Now we know everything, you know, the general rule of becoming an excellent professional is 10,000 hours. The idea that you got to put in 10,000 hours is kind of the Malcolm Gladwell tipping point. The Beatles didn't become the Beatles on day one. No, they spent years honing their craft, and that's what you have to do. And Katie's sharing her story about coming from basically never doing stand-up before to essentially her first set where she got to open for Whitney Cummings to now working the system being open mics, doing shows, producing shows with audiences that you curate, trying to tighten your act, this and that. Here's what she had to say about the growth.
Tonight I learned a new phrase. It's called barking. And it's what a lot of comedians who want stage time got to do to earn their spot. You're on the streets with your little flyer and you're like, come to tonight's show. So I joined my friend Austin. I barked tonight. Don't say I didn't put time and energy in. I put in the work. I don't care what kind of head start you think I have. I'm still going to start from the ground up. So if you saw me on the streets of San Diego, yes, you did.
You know, it's an impressive because we all have different sort of moral compasses that guide us in different paths. And it's interesting here that Katie seems to be really wanting to be perceived as doing the work when it comes to stand-up, which I respect. You got to respect that. You know, someone who has close to 1 million Instagram followers, close to 1 million TikTok followers, building her YouTube channel, can probably generate an audience, get booked on shows. There are going to be comedians that look at her and go, ugh, what's this white woman going to tell me is funny? She just gets to pass the line, putting in your dues. So it shows here that she's putting in her dues. And the idea of, like she mentions, kind of like the idea of privilege when it comes to where you start. You know, I think it's important. We talk about nepotism a lot. It's been a conversation that's being had a lot in the entertainment world. Nepotism being that your parents got you something. I love Ben Stiller. We just watched his Meet the Fockers and other, he's great comedic actor. His dad's Jerry Stiller. So there clearly is nepotism that's involved in Hollywood like any other trade. It exists, and nepotism just gets somebody a head start in the race, as it were. Privilege comes in so many different ways, whether it be gender, race, looks. I always talk about the pretty privilege or the privilege of attraction, just growing up and being born with certain symmetry that others might not have in our society is a privilege. Privileges are usually things given to you that you didn't quite earn. Not to say she didn't earn being the Bachelorette, but she knows that that's not going to get her any extra laughs on stage, but it is a very unique journey she can talk about. So the idea that she and other former contestants are harnessing what they love applying a little bit of their following to it, which helps them promote it and grow it. That's a good thing. Susie Evans, videographer. Clayton Eckert, talking about mental health. Nick Vile enjoys dating. I'm just kidding. I don't know. So we've all got different things that we love, and you see real influencers that actually have longevity. They build that through doing things that they love and applying it to that following. So like I said, that's what she's got going on. And good for her for being okay with starting in the bottom. Most people with their egos, and trust me, I've met a lot of them, they want things a certain way because they want to look like everything's perfect. And we see a lot of this from alumni. The perfection is the enemy of good. Katie, like comedians, it's almost like the humor doesn't come from the perfect. It comes from the destruction. It comes from the demise. It comes from the distraught moments.
Because I was there handing out the flyers, aka barking. Number 2, the not so great part.
Here it is.
Tonight.
She said, I effed up tonight. I bombed.
I bombed, you guys. I bombed. Let's just call it for what it is.
Hey, good to know when you've bombed, you know. Sometimes you can't polish it up. Sometimes a good shellacking is just that.
But am I going to try again? Yeah, I'm going to try again.
I always say this: if you're not bombing, you're not trying hard enough. Bombing's all about, pushing the limits on what you know to do and not just reading off your script. I wrote these jokes. Here's what I'm going to say. No, it's about trying. But don't get me wrong. There are ways that you can minimize bombing. Those ways would be, relating to your audience, being likable, having an economy of words, which means getting straight to the point, really sharpening what you want to say or do. But also, it really comes down to being likable to the audience. So here she posted, doomed from the start. My subscribers got to see 34 seconds of various failures. So here she is.
What's up, people? I said hello.
She goes, sup, people? I said hello. And yeah, like already she's probably like, oh, geez, the audience isn't on board with me. And that's what happens. It can literally be a matter of maybe you get introduced as she was a former Bachelorette, and then you have an audience of people going, oh, yeah, so she's going to be real funny. And then it comes down to, like, how do you break through to them? She posted a few of her recent clips from her, I believe, first show after doing a few open mics. Here, let's have a watch.
Being an adult is... So I refuse to do that.
You just lost it. Hold on. I hate TikTok. Here, all right, let's try this one more time here. Okay.
Being an adult is really hard, okay? I went to Home Depot the other day and I was buying... Anyone have a hoe phase?
Oh, gosh. Hold on one second, folks. Okay, here we go.
Being an adult is really hard, okay? I went to Home Depot the other day and I was buying paint for my wall. Just white. Just simple white paint.
And the main role is move the mic stand. And also, like, she's going to learn... do everything with a purpose. If you're going to swear, swear with a purpose. If you're going to pace around the stage, do it with a purpose. I still find myself a decade into stand-up on stage kind of like talking to people like I'm fighting them with this nervous energy. It takes a lot of skill to go up on stage and like cement yourself and ground yourself. You talk about this with acting, like ground yourself in the scene. It takes a lot of skill to get rid of that natural nervous energy that's going to happen.
How many shades of white there are. So many whites. Like, how do you pick the right white? And then I thought, this is probably what the producers of The Bachelor feel like when they make diversity.
All right, got a good laugh. And it's one of those things, like I say, keep doing the same bit, find different ways to say it, and eventually you'll find the best way to say it. It's like lightning striking down. Lightning's going to try to hit ground. It's going to ground itself. It's the path of least resistance, like water in a river. And stand-up's the same way. You need the path of least resistance. You need to be able to say the joke in as little as words as possible and, get the audience laughing.
Anyone have a hoe phase? Everything. The other day, I'm like driving over like the bumps in the road because it feels good. Like, women aren't bad drivers; we're just horny.
No, and I love the premise. Women aren't bad drivers; we're just horny. I would take that premise and I would be like, we get so horny driving over bumps in the road. I literally took a vacation to Boston. Hey, have you ever driven on the roads in Boston? You know what I had to do? I'm just, I didn't think of any of this. I'm just kind of spitballing. But like, I drove to the farthest gas station away because the potholes were so bad. Luckily, I ended up there. I could, buy a pack of cigarettes. I don't know, whatever, something stupid like that. But yeah, it's a funny premise. And a premise is an idea. The punchline is how you sort of workshop that idea. So she actually probably could benefit from starting with the premise and saying, women aren't bad drivers, we're just horny. Because that line alone is like interesting. We're not bad drivers, we're just horny. You ever hit a speed bump in yoga pants? I don't know, guys. It's all about the visual.
I'm at the dentist and his fingers are in my mouth and I'm like, okay, do not suck on his fingers. He's like, spit. And I'm like, okay, daddy.
These are great punchlines.
Look, I felt really good about that joke until I realized my dentist is actually here tonight. Not to shade. Please cancel all my appointments until further notice.
What'd be really funny is if she continues to do, I would continue to do this joke even if he's not in the room, and just find a guy who looks like a dentist, and then you can build crowd work into that conversation with the guy who might not be a dentist. Hey, I think these are really solid bits, but what you have to understand is you're not always going to have a warm audience. So the idea of leaning into your audience is tearing down whatever this facade is that can exist. When you perform stand-up, sometimes the audience isn't really held accountable and you're kind of like putting up this defensive wall there. And the idea is literally leaning over that so you can connect with them. And if the set's not going well, talk to the audience. Know when it's not going well, learn how to get out of it. And that's kind of one of the lessons that Katie's going to be working on, as we all do in the world of comedy. She posted her full open mic here on her YouTube channel, so you guys can go check that out. I think that's enough from us today, but I think we'll have a pretty good crowd when Katie and I eventually do a stand-up show together. So if you're in the San Diego area, definitely check in on that. And also, if you aren't signed up for my mailing list for my stand-up shows, you're going to want to get on that. Go to the link in the comment section and choose the MailChimp. It's free. You just type in your name and I think like your email address and maybe your zip code or something like that, and then it'll tell you, and then you'll get emails whenever I'm in your town. All right, well, I personally think it's great that Katie's sharing her journey in the stand-up world. It's different. Everyone who watches Bachelor goes, oh, who are these influencers? What do they do? They were just on some dating show. Well, now you have somebody who's pursuing something very challenging, and you can go follow that process. It takes years, to make it, but, she might come up with 8 really good minutes of stand-up, and then maybe she'll open for another comedian on tour. Who knows? There's so many avenues that can come from what I think is one of the best art forms, which is stand-up comedy. All right, folks, like I said, the Patreon's got mad tea. So does the Bachelor Rush Hour podcast. We're giving it to you. If you haven't already, hit the like button, subscribe, because I feel like I'm the only person making content this week. I feel like, school was closed and I didn't get the memo, so I'm here. All right, folks, we'll talk to you later. Bye now.